Actually, we could talk about the Bierzo microclimate, which does not really exist though. But it is a microclimate of fusion. Indeed, we have some years that are more continental, some of them with Mediterranean notes, as well as clearly Atlantic years. Our winters are not as harsh as in Castile, and our summers are not as hot as those of Astorga or León. What governs the climate here are the mountain canyons, in other words, the Atlantic influence that comes funneled by the River Sil Valley. I work in all my vineyards in Villafranca del Bierzo. These are very Bierzo vineyards. Often, the soil in Bierzo differentiates clearly, with the higher places containing loose slate, and in the lower places, the soils are mainly clay and more acidic. This is common to all the northwest of Spain, but particularly true in Bierzo. This is very important. However, I have two terrains that are not typical of Bierzo. This vineyard, which is called Coteo because the mountain is called Coteo, possesses a calcareous soil. It has other components and is a shallow soil, but has limestone in the subsoil. It probably came from the north when it formed. And I also work in Valtuí de Abajo, which is right there in front of us, where I have a terrain in the Paraje Villejas, probably the most valued paraje, recognised for the elaboration of wines for crianza in Bierzo, where the soil is sandy. But in general, we can conclude that the DNA of the Bierzo soils is clay and acid. I analyse the soil. I do it chemically and physically, not only from the point of view of the laboratory, but also according to the vegetation that I leave in the vineyard. Biodiversity is important. I count the plants. Only when I recover 100 different species in a vineyard, I consider that I have achieved the level of biodiversity intrinsic to the area. It is understood that the cover crops increase biodiversity, avoiding plagues, and with a couple of actions per year, it's enough to control the vegetation and to achieve a positive competition between species. It is also true that in very dry years, the cover crop competes for water with the vine. My parameters are, when I harvest, whether I prune the vine shorter or larger. If this is Palomino and that over there is Esteladina and the next is Mencía. I do it all myself, and I do it as I was a tailor. Custom made versus prêt-à-porter. What we do here is to follow the principle of minimum intervention. Obviously, the wine does not make itself, you must be on top of it. But we need to avoid masking it as much as possible. How do we do it? By intervening the least when the grapes get in. We don't make any kind of adjustment or addition. We neither select yeast nor use commercial yeast. On top of that, we do micro-vinifications in deposits of 2,500 and 1,500 litres for each of the plots. Define the origin of each wine. We make very short micro-vinifications. We destem the grapes, although sometimes we add stems, but we don't crush the grapes. We want them as whole as possible, and I don't use any extra yeasts or additions of any kind. This is spontaneous. We make the wine as our grandparents did. We move it with our hands. The wine ferments for around 5 or 6 days, and quickly we bleed the wine and transfer it to the barrique.